All right, hello everybody and welcome. Um, on this channel, I intend to explore the phenomenal, sometimes chaotic game of life and how we can look into ways that get us to calmer waters. So, thank you for being here. I hope that you are able to find some information throughout this video that might hint and point you in the right direction. And if you resonate with some of these topics, then leave it in the comments. If you have differing opinions than me, then also leave that in the comments as well. I just leave the comments in a positive manner because comments are a form of energy transfer, and we really don't have a heck of a lot of room for negative energy because we're all trying to get to a better place. I believe that the negative energy is what's causing a lot of the chaos at the moment, and some of us find ourselves in particular not the greatest of environments, but there are ways to get into better places. So, bullying, rude, or disrespectful comments will be deleted. Kind of like a video clip that I saw that made me laugh. Ain't nobody got time for that. So, today I'm going to try to oversimplify a topic of finding direction. This is to start a discussion, and it is also leading into more in depth conversation of specifics on finding direction and ways to improve your life. So, I'm calling this a game, like the game of life, because I do believe it is a game. Um, a vast majority of this game we cannot control. It is pretty much the source or the root code that God powers, um, and God being the source or power for all things, whatever you would like to call God. The name is not important, but the all ever presence of what I am calling God or source is what runs the whole entire game. So we as souls are powering our particular portion of the game, and that portion of the game we do have control over. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about. So I think the vast majority of us come into this game without the knowledge of any other instances of us playing the game, and I think that we have played many. But we do have many abilities and skills that are kind of preset within us, but we don't really know what those are. And the way that we are going to go and find what those skills and abilities are throughout this game are using our discernment and intuition. And the discernment and intuition creates feelings and emotions, and that helps guide us to a direction that makes us feel good. It makes us connect with everyone else. So, kind of led to share a story with you, and given, I'll give you a little background. In my younger years, I was in the military, in the Navy, and all right, living on a ship is one thing, but I went to work with the Army for a while, and we were doing the field exercise, which is kind of a team building exercise, where you go out and everybody enjoys the suck for about a week. Most days were a balmy 95 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's about 35 Celsius, and probably 95% humidity during the day, and it would rain at night, and so it was pretty miserable, especially after having lived on a ship where you have air conditioning and meals 3 times a day, and uh, so for me it was a kind of a big eye opener. For those Army Marine guys, it was probably normal, but I didn't sign up for that originally. So we're doing the field exercise, and one of the big exercises was land navigation. So we are given a map, and this particular area was quite a large land nav area, and we're given a list of coordinates that we need to get to. You have to find the box that's in that location at those coordinates, and you have to write down that letter or number depending on what it was. And then you would return back to the home base camp and see if you got the right places. Now, the coordinates are fairly specific because, kind of like going into a neighborhood, you would have, say, 3 of them, kind of like you would have houses. The house, well, at least where I live, Some of you might have houses way closer together, but say, 100, 200 feet apart where you have to get the correct one. So you need to be very precise on where you're going to make sure that you're getting them to the place that you're supposed to go to. So I took all my coordinates, and me being about 250 pounds at the time, I'm kind of built for picking things up and putting them down. I'm not so much of the go out there and run, and I'm not a distance guy. How about that? So I made the decision that I was going to map out my coordinates for the least amount of distance. Um, looking at that map, there's hills. This is a natural pine forest, so the trees are all over the place, bushes. There are some kind of drop offs, a little bit of valleys, not necessarily mountainous valleys, but in my neck of the woods, you're going up and down hills. There's a little bit of swampy area, but so I picked all my points and I made them as short as possible. And all right, cool, I'm ready to go. So I went out and I started going along. So I'd already knocked off most of my points that I needed to get to, and I came to where it was one of the longer legs of my um, between points, and it came across like a swampy area. And I made the decision to continue following my line. And as I started getting into this swamp, it was like briars, sticker bushes, vines, just the underbrush was really thick. And I, my stomach kind of told me this is not the way you should go. You should kind of readjust your plan. But I said, no, I'm going to go straight through because that's the fastest way to where I need to go. Well, I ended up getting kind of stuck in the vines where it's almost off my feet. I was pretty stuck, but thank goodness for the uniform itself to kind of protect me a bit from the briars and the vines. But as I'm stuck in these vines, I did look over and I noticed that there's a deer skeleton in the vine. So apparently that deer decided to go through there as well and didn't make it, and there was nobody to come and rescue the deer. I figured if I had gotten stuck for longer than I did, that somebody would eventually come and look for me, and then I could yell, and hopefully I'd be out of there. But eventually I was able to make it out, and I got to my next point where, I kind of reassessed myself. Like, that was stupid. But anyhow, I get back, and I did find all the coordinates. Um, the reason I kind of share that story is it's kind of a physical representation of our emotional or spiritual journey that I would say that I'm on, and I would say that you probably are on as well. So I had many points to get to in no particular order, but due to my choices on the path, it was either easy or hard. So going from one place to another, I come to find after reflection is not always a straight line. So you don't have you can make adjustments and deviations from the original plan. Um, should I have kind of deviated around that swamp and caused myself a lot further of a walk? Yes. Although at the time that walk, and I was getting tired. Um, like I said, it's warm out there, and I'm not built for distance. It would have made things a lot easier. However, in a way, I almost needed to have that pain and suck and stuckness, and I mean the briar scratches and all the pain afterwards, so that I can reflect later. But we can we can change our original plan. We can deviate from that original plan, um, as long as we're understand that, hey, if I take a right here and I go for 200 yards and then I take another right and I I get back on track, um, or I would have to take a left in that case, but that's fine. But uh, we can get back on track just knowing how far you deviated from the original line will help us getting back onto track and finding our actual destination that we're going to. Another point of this one is the point itself was not the end all. The point was the journey. The journey itself was what was good. What you see during your journey is way more influential than getting to the point and finding that particular letter or number or reaching that particular goal, because you'll just have to find out what is the next step and how best is it for me to get to the next step. No, I do understand that some people are content where they're at, and however, I find that a lot of those people will not be looking at this because they're not open to any change yet, and that's fine. But there are many of us that are. So we want what feels good. I think that the environment that we're born in was chosen by us as a soul, and we are to experience and discern what is good and bad. And I'm only really going to scratch the surface here, but some people's experiences of ease and luxury are a lot different than those that experience a lot of difficulties and trials and tribulations. I mean, some people only feel pain and hardship throughout their life. So I find that most of the people that are probably looking for the information now are probably in the middle of that, in between. We want to get to the ease and luxury, but we're also not ultimately, over our heads in pain and hardship. So the choices that we make are free will, so that they allow us to navigate this game. The game itself has continuously changing variables, like your family dynamics, your zodiac signs, planetary placements, our choices in partners and friends, the location that we live, belief structures or that are presented to us, but we also take those belief structures and we self-construct our own rules, laws, limitations, and we take a lot of the information from others that they have discerned for themselves, and we sometimes utilize that information to kind of guide us. Kind of like asking someone, how best do I get from this small town out to the place that I'm trying to go? And you ask a person in town, and they're going to tell you the only way that they know how to go is to go down a couple miles, take a left, and you'll get there. Little do they know that there was a byway that was built on the side of town, and you can take that and it'll get you there much faster. So we oftentimes take what other people say as the definition of what we need to do, and that doesn't necessarily always work best for us. So no matter where you find yourself, through self-realization, we want to establish a starting point for change. Now, I feel that you may be here because you find your external GPS and your internal GPS are at odds with each other. And like what society, friends, family, and other people close to us are telling us how to be, what to do, who to be with, doesn't necessarily make us happy. It may make them happy, but we're living our life, not they are trying to live our life for us. And we have to listen to our inner selves, and that inner self is trying to do us some inner self, higher self is trying to guide us in a different direction. So if you kind of understand what I'm saying, do put a comment down there, because I'm trying to piece together everything in a way. I'm sure I can make these videos a little bit cleaner, a little bit better once I get more comfortable in front of the camera. But this is one of those places where I am being guided to put out the information, start the conversation, so that we can all eventually have a much cleaner and nicer step-by-step guide, if you would like to say. But sometimes you have to understand the route between points in order to establish where the points themselves should be. So put a comment down there if you can. I would like to say that you do not need to give up the dreams and ambitions, though. You currently have dreams and ambitions of and goals that you've set for yourself. By changing course, it is not necessarily changing what you want to do, but it may be a way for you to be able to get to those particular dreams and goals using a different direction. Sometimes you'll have to let go of your preconceived notion of how things are going to work and allow the universe or game itself to provide other means for us to get there. And some of those dreams and goals and ambitions may fade away when you do change course, but they could be replaced with something that's more fulfilling and more rewarding. So um, it might not be the direction that we're trying to go to. Or what you originally were trying to go to might not be your best in your best interest. So you, by finding like your life purpose and some of the things that you're good at, you may be steered to a different direction. You may have to abandon going to one thing. Sometimes I know I have a huge list of projects that I work on, and I think that keeps me busy. And also, while I'm working on them, is where a lot of these thoughts come in. So while I'm doing something not focused on something else, is where a lot of this information comes from. But there are times where I just have to say, well, I'm not going to get that done. And and after a while, having not done some of those, I'll go and I'll actually take them off my list of, well, that it was important at the time, but it's no longer important now. So I will say that we're not all destined to be big rock stars or billionaires, but that by no means diminishes what you are and who you are and how you present yourself to the world. Your soul here came here to do something. That something may be not what you're thinking at the moment. Did I think I would be on here talking to you, telling you ways that I see how life works? No. I mean, I found that I was having many situations, almost feel like I've lived many lives within one with the amount of situations that I've been into. But I am coming to realize that a lot of those situations that I have been in, which were difficult um, or very joyous, are kind of what allows me to place together all these puzzle pieces that the universe is throwing to me. So, had I not been in those situations, then it would have been much different for me in particular. So, in a way, this is kind of like a giant play where you're the star of your part in the play. Not to say that your part in the play is the star performer, but you could be one of the stagehands that changes out the set in between the different uh, portions of the play. You could be the lead ballerina out there doing the show, or you could be the lighting person, or maybe just the person in the audience itself that is enjoying the show and gives a good applause when it's over. So each part in the play is important, even though it might not be the most important for the overall play itself. But we just have to realize that our part is important. And as long as we do our part and don't look out to see the other people's part and say, oh, I could do better than that. Well, you maybe can, but your particular part might not be that this particular time. So we're trying to play our part and take advantage of being that particular part in the play, and we can enjoy life where it is at. And when we do that, I believe that that brings in joy and abundance for us. So I do feel that numerology is one of the methods that can be utilized to help us identify and quantify what our particular part is in this particular place. So I mean, for thousands of years, people have tried to figure out what it is I'm supposed to do here. Why am I here? What is my purpose in life? And I think many people have come about it, but the information has been skewed in many ways. So this is just the general, but using numerology can really help us get our original bearing lines, quite like on the map, to go from point to point. If we know where we are and we know where we want to go and we know our method or purpose of getting there, then we can make our choices based on that. Like if you're a mountain climber, going straight over the mountains from point to point would probably be your way. If you're a swimmer, going over that mountain is not going to do well. However, vice versa, the mountain climber is not going to do well swimming to get to their point. So I'm just kind of trying to throw some ideas around there. Sorry, but like yeah, thousands of years ago, Pythagoras came up with a numbering system, and he did many years of study. I want to say it was over 50 is what I've read, but of trying to identify this information. And then later on, there was a lady in the early 1900s that did a lot more into numerology, and I believe a lot of her work is actually what is being utilized right now. But not to say it's going to be 100% accurate all the time, but at least gives us a guidance. So, looking at this as a game, these formulas that are devised through the numerology system help us identify our purpose, our strengths, our weaknesses, our role that we're playing. And when we play the role that we're supposed to play, we are going to be happy and joyous. So, in a way, I kind of want to. We're going to go over more detail in this in later videos, but for the time being, I have a two-dimensional drawing that I kind of want to try to represent this for. So, and don't you're welcome to laugh at my drawing and horrible writing skills, but so this looks like a clock for those that are listening, and the numbers of 1 through 9 are in their normal places, while 10, 11, and 12 have been replaced by 11, 22, and 33 respectively. So in this, we are trying to get to the middle. The middle is feels good, it's happy, it's our purpose, it's content. So I'm going to draw a line using number 8 as my, number 8 is going to be my number that I want to use just for this particular thing. And this is by no means a direct representation of a direction. Just take it as an example. Okay, so number 8 goes in a particular direction. That's their life path number, and they are going to make it to where they're going to be feeling good, happy, content. They have their purpose in life, and everything is working well. So if a number 2 life path number would to use the same formula as 8, they get up and they have that same path number, and a number 2 is a cooperation number, which they're very good at putting on a face mask and getting in with other people. But so they draw their line to do the same thing a number 8 does. They're going to find themselves going away from being happy. They're away from being feeling good. Their purpose is not being fulfilled. They're not content with life. So, I mean, again, this is oversimplification, and am by no means a direction. Like, I guess a little bit more detail on this would be like looking at stars, right? If you've ever had a telescope out there, when we go out, we're going to each look at a particular star. We'll take that telescope, and most of the telescopes that we can afford are going to be able to see multiple stars at the same time, but we can focus in on one particular, and that's to say, okay, we have our view in mind. We find our star, we're looking good, And then looking at it for a little bit, get bored. All right, I'm going to go in and get a drink or something to eat, come back out and look in just a minute again. So when I come back out and I look in there again, now that star is not in the picture anymore. Everything has changed. So this is definitely not a one and done thing where I have my focus. I know the direction I'm going. We do have to make adjustments on this in particular, but I do feel that the life path number at least lets us know we're in the right ballpark, and then we can zoom in on it. And then from that point, once we zoom in on what we're trying to find, we can make small adjustments throughout our life to keep on that task and keep where we need to be. So for those in the city, you might have to get out to the country to do this little star exercise on a telescope if you want to actually see what I'm talking about. But later topics of discussion, we're going to go into a little bit more on this receiving the light at a particular angle. I think that will help out a little bit. But for right now, we'll keep it simple as a basic telescope. So, yeah, just because we identify where we're at the first time doesn't mean that we're always on it. So, so now for the meat and potatoes. How do you figure out your life path number? It's pretty easy to do. So you take your birth month, your birthday, and your birth year, and you add up all those numbers individually. So I'm going to put an example of March the 12th of 1980. And so that's a 3, a 12, 1980. We're going to add those together. All those numbers added together comes up to a 24, and we're going to break it down to a simple number. So we took them individually. 3 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 9 plus 8 plus 0 equals 24. Take that 24, 2 plus 4 equals 6. So this particular date would leave a person with a life path number of 6. So I am going to mention that I use a numerology app, which I'll link below, and I have contacted them. I can share some of their information, and I'm going to eventually read all of the life path numbers at least, but there's so much more information that comes about from using the app itself. But if you view this right now, you'll have to look at the app, but if you view it in a few days, once I get all the videos done, I will you'll be able to listen to the life path number itself. So, but within that life path, there are the attributes, some of the things that happen when we're on the dark side, when we're not doing so well, love, and some of the accomplishments, some of the lessons we need to be learned. Those are written up in there. And if it does resonate with you, then you'll know you're on the right path. But if it doesn't resonate, you can also look at your attitude number, which is your day and month added together. So in that same example, it would be 3 plus 1 plus 2. So that particular person's attitude number would also be a 6. So they could be in conjunction. The way the life path number works is it's the primary, but it does have a slight figuration of the attitude coming into how you respond to certain things. So that's gonna be our first guiding point that we have. And I have found that when I'm reading these life path numbers, people that I work with, that I converse with, and that I just run into, generally, I start placing them in a, I can say, oh, I think you're a 2, or you're going to be a 7, or, it's interesting because the way people act, if they're acting in their proper nature, then they do fall in line with this. And as a way shower, I find it best that I can help guide someone or suggest a direction for them because it's their own free will. We can only make suggestions, but it will help that person find their way and possibly take the situations that they're in, see it from a different light, and benefit from knowing what their purpose is and getting out there and doing that. So it is interesting. You might want to listen to more than one or read more than one. But let me know what you think, because I like I said, this is kind of an experiment. It is a place for conversation. It's not necessarily just me telling you what to do, because that I don't feel that that is the right thing to do anyhow. We are making suggestions, but I do feel that if you do align with your life path number, things will immediately change. And if you're not already in a good place and going in the right direction, then you're immediately going to notice that some changes may need to be made and that it will get you going in the right direction. So, if you've enjoyed this content of this video, please, post a comment and give a like, share it. Maybe we can get this conversation going and help others that are out there, because I know many of us are looking for where are we at and where we're going to go. So I will get to reading all of those life path numbers, but I did want to give a shout out, because I've already started, to the people that do audiobooks, and they that's some amazing work. Could be my Southern States public education, that gives me a hard time while reading some of them. It could be my, brain mouth gap, that some of the words just don't come out right. But I do appreciate those that do audiobooks, because it's been quite a time. But I'm going to try to get that information out for you. Thank you again for watching this and listening and interacting with me. So I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you here again another time. Thank you.